Hello everyone, this is Derek with Reef Automation. This is another Reef Automation tutorials for Neptune systems. Today I'm going to go over how to program flow sensors. I'm going to go over how they work with the Apex system and how you can manipulate them to do different things. I've been using the Neptune flow sensors since they've been released. All of Neptune flow sensors must be hooked up to an FMM, so if you don't have an FMM, you will need one in order to use flow sensors. If you have an ATK system, what's nice about the ATK system is it comes with 2 additional ports that you can use for any type of FMM accessories, including flow sensors. So they make a 1/4 inch, a 1/2 inch, a inch, and a 2-inch flow sensor. So if you're trying to do something maybe at 3/4 inch, for instance, which is a common size, or 1 1/4 or 1 1/2, I always recommend that you do the larger flow sensor, and therefore you put the smaller pipe into the larger flow sensor. That seems to get the more accurate flow. So let's go through how to program them and how to get them set up. So your flow sensors are going to be located in the FMM. So if we click on the gear here, and then we click on our modules, which is this guy right here, we're going to show all of our modules that are in the system. If we go to the FMM, you will see that each port will tell you what's plugged into each port. Now, if you do auto detect, which is what I recommend most people to do, it'll automatically find which flow sensor you are using. Now, of course, you can manually put in the flow sensor as well if you'd like, right here. So I generally just put the auto detect, but if it doesn't auto detect it on the first round, I recommend just manually putting it in. Once you have manually put your sensor in and once you've plugged it in, it'll automatically populate a tile for the flow sensor. So for instance, this is one of my flow sensors, RNF, and it will show me that I have it plugged in to flow sensor port 4 on my Reef FMM2. I can relabel it here. I can also go to advanced and I can put on an alarm just like I would do with any probe on the system. So if I wanted to get an alarm to my phone or an email, I can set it up right here. So if it goes below a certain gallon per hour, I want to get alerted. Now, each sensor will only do a specific amount of gallon per hour. So it's very important that you purchase the correct flow sensor for your system, because if you have a flow that you're trying to get from it, you're going to want to make sure that you have the correct flow sensor. So if we go up to Neptune's products here, we go to FMM accessories right here, you can look at all the different flow sensors. Now again, you will see that the FS200 will only work between 300 and 3,000 gallons per hour. So if indeed you have a flow that's lower than 300 or higher than 3,000, this is not going to work for you. The FS100 will work from 150 to 1500. The FS50 will work from 30 to 250. And then your 4th inch, which is the smallest one, the FS25, will only work between 3 and 12 gallons per hour. So again, if your flow rate does not go in between this flow, you will not see it on your flow sensor. So again, my 1-inch diameter, if I want to get an alert below maximum or outside, I can set it right here, and then it will give me alert. Now you can use your flow sensor for a number of reasons. So let's say you wanted to control a pump with a flow, or you wanted to see something turn off and on depending on the flow. This is how you would do that. So our flow is R return F, for instance. So let's say on my Reef pump, I want to program if my flow gets a certain value on my Reef pump, I want to turn it off or I want to turn it on. So what you can do here is you could say if our return is, let's say, less than 40, then off. Now what that would mean is that my return pump has indicated that it has a flow that's less than 40. I want you to shut off my return pump. You can also, of course, do if my return pump is greater than 100, then turn it off, or greater than 200, then turn it off. You could do anything here with the flow based on the number to turn off and on different things. Now again, we've already set up our alert on the flow sensor itself. So technically you don't have to put it in the alarm or the email, but you can. Generally the flow sensor alert will supersede anything that's in here. So you could of course go in here and say if my reef return flow is less than 50, then on. Now this of course would give you an alert if your flow was to get less than 50. There's a lot of other things you can do with this flow. Now, for instance, I have a couple things set up that if I turn on my maintenance, what's going to happen is my pump's going to turn off, and therefore my flow is going to register 0. So what I want to be able to do is I want to be able to know if my reef pump is less than 0 at any time other than when it's on maintenance, because once I turn maintenance on, it's going to alert me, and I don't want to get alerted if reef maintenance is on. So what I've developed is a virtual outlet here, which I will show you. Here's my reef flow virtual outlet, and I'm going to put it right here so you can see what it does. And my virtual outlet for my reef flow basically says if my reef return is less than 0, turn it on. However, if my pump is turned off or my reef maintenance was turned on, I don't want to get this alert, or I don't want to know that my reef flow is less than 50. So then it's going to turn on. I also have it only turn on if the flow has been less than 50 for more than 10 minutes. So again, if you watch my virtual outlet videos, you will see that I have made a reef flow virtual outlet right here. And if I go over to my alarms, what I can do is I can set it up so if my reef flow is on, let's go back to my email. Sorry, I don't have it on my alarm. So if we go back to my email alert and I go to up here, you will see that I have if my reef flow is on, then I want you to turn or alert me that my flow is less than 50. Again, it's not going to alert me unless the reef flow is less than 50, my pump is turned on, and my maintenance is turned off. If my maintenance is turned on, it's not going to alert me, and if my reef pump was turned off by myself manually, it's not going to alert me. This is why I don't get alerts every time my flow gets to 0 or less than 50. So that's another way that you can program your flow so that way you don't have to worry about getting alerts when you're in certain modes. You could also do that with a feed cycle. So you could say in that virtual outlet, if feed A is on, then turn off the flow virtual outlet, and therefore you wouldn't get an alert while you're feeding. So there's a number of ways that you can use the flow, and there's a number of ways you can use that number, like I said. But that's the basics of programming the flow sensors. So again, take a look at some of my videos that I've done on virtual outlets to get a little more explanation on them. Also, I just did a video on cleaning the flow sensors. So if your flow sensors are reading 0, there's an easy way to clean them. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and as you all know, I do live streams every week. So if you have any questions or concerns, you can leave them below in the comments. And please hit the bell icon, as I do new videos all the time for different things, and that way you'll get alerted. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do so, and hopefully you like this and hit the thumbs up. Anyway, thank you again for watching, and I hope you have a great day.